Well, good afternoon. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is the well, it's Thursday. It's either the 15th or the 16th. We just had Valentine's Day a day or two ago, and it's 15:15 approximately, 3:15 p.m. Pacific time, and I'm coming at you from the Love's Truck Stop in Lodi, California. And it's been 3 days since I've had a shower and shave. The last shower and shave I had was at home on Sunday, and I've had some 3 days, and I'm going to tell you about them as we move along here. But first, let's introduce the equipment. Because I have 3 days of whiskers, which is uncommon for me, I thought this would be a good test for my new Facharbeit, Dovo Facharbeit. It's got the convex edge on it from Jarrod, and I'm sure I'll mention that every single time I use this razor because that's part of the lore and mythology of this razor. It's the only convex edge I've got, and it's from the primary advocate, the master himself, Jarrod. I'll go ahead and show you this too for right now. I'm going to, on my head, for my head shave later, I'm going to use this Dovo Colonel Conch that I use at home on the last shave. And we got both of these on the road, and interested to see how this is going to perform after a few days of not using it. I didn't notice any corrosion or anything on the edge. So for our brush today, we're going to use the QED. Oh, look at that. My old camera wouldn't focus in on real close objects. QED Select Manchurian Silvertip Badger. Wonderful brush, 24 millimeter knot, small handle, imitation horn. It's a beautiful handle, just a little small. And that's all right. And for the soap, we're going to use Stirling Soap Company's Island Man. All right. And I've got some Osma alum block here as well. Use as needed. I don't use it much anymore for grip, because if you don't get it washed off your face after you use it for grip and off your fingers, you have a very real possibility of staining your blade. So be careful about that. That's why I've stopped using it for just that very reason. I got on the back side of one of my very nice razors, I have this ugly stains across it. All right, I had a shower. It was nice. It was certainly very welcome. It was tepid. It was not hot. It was warmish, barely. I had a haircut with my clippers, and so I'm feeling pretty good. And which, after the last 3 days, especially the last 48 hours, just Tuesday and Wednesday were just horrible days, and I'll tell you about those. First day was not bad out, but let's get, as I'm lathering, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Just this Island Man is just a delightful scent, delightful. So the best way I can tell you this story, I think, is just to start from the beginning. I left the yard in Houston on Monday, and for their purposes, it was 24 hours late. The driver that was going to take it had an emergency, couldn't take it. I got the call late Sunday afternoon. He wanted me to leave immediately, Super Bowl Sunday. Not that I care that much, you know. Super Bowl. So he wanted me to leave immediately. I said no. I said I'll be happy to leave tomorrow morning. I'll be happy to go down to the yard tonight and do my night prep that I usually do. And of course the next question was, when does it deliver? And he said, Thursday at 8 o'clock, which is today. And I said, well, that's not going to happen either. What's the next question? I said, I asked the next question, which was, how many miles is it? And he said it was 1,900 and some miles. I said, that's 4 days. And here it is late Sunday afternoon, and I'm going to leave on Monday, and you want me to be there in 3 days, and I'm telling you, no. It's going to be there Friday at 0800, but not on Thursday at 0800. And I calculate when I'm doing trip planning on the cuff, when I'm doing trip planning off the top of my head, I calculate 500 miles a day, which does not include loading or unloading delivery, and just straight road miles and hours, driving that is. And I tell you, this trip, that rule that I have observed fastly over these last several years in particular has paid off well. So they notified everybody that it would be Friday before delivery, or Friday 0800 would be delivery. Because, in a nutshell, let me just tell you this. You know about hours of service, 11 hours driving, 14 hours on duty. You can drive 11 hours out of those 14 hours, so you've got a 3-hour window for loading and unloading and what they consider on-duty activities other than driving. Other than driving. In a nutshell, over the last 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, the simplest way to say it is that I lost 10 and a half hours, clock hours. I was on duty or driving, well, on duty. And so as I say, I'm going to start from the beginning and tell you the whole story. That might make more sense, how that all transpired. So I did go down to the truck Sunday night before halftime. Not that I didn't care. Because it was late in the afternoon and I knew there were things I had to do to get the truck ready before I could hook up to the trailer and go. My wife said, if you want to go down, that's fine. So I left the house at about 6 o'clock, 6:30. Got down to the truck, I did all my preps, hooked up to the trailer, and I was ready to go. Went to bed, got a good night's sleep. Delightful smell on this thing. And I got an early start. Left the yard, departed driving at about 4:30 Monday morning, which is good. Got a good early start. And I was thinking that I would get down to Fort Stockton, Texas, I-10, and which I know is 8.5 hours with a 30-minute break in there. I've got to do which I have to do within the first 8 hours of on duty or drive time. So I knew it was going to take 8.5 to 9 hours to get there, assuming no obstructions. And I drove 670 miles to Van Horn, Texas, which is beyond Fort Stockton. So I had a very good first day. And looking at the routing that I was planning on taking for the second day, planning to go from Van Horn to Joseph City, Arizona on I-40. And I went out I-10 from Houston, west toward El Paso, San Antonio, El Paso, out that way. And I was going to cut up to I-40 somewhere along the way. And which I did. I've never been on that stretch before of I-25 out of Las Cruces to Albuquerque. So good as place as any. Didn't really want to go to Arizona or Phoenix and go up through the city and pick up I-17, which goes to Flagstaff. I just didn't want to go through the city, and of course Las Cruces is a very small town, and Albuquerque is not a very large town either by comparison to Phoenix or wherever. But here's where the fun begins. When I got to the west side of Albuquerque and started headed west on I-40, got out there around about 100 miles before Gallup, New Mexico, and here comes the snow. Snow, snow, snow. And my plan was to pull up and stop for the evening at Joseph City, Arizona. And that would have been roughly a 640 mile day. And the closer I got to western New Mexico, and perhaps I had already crossed the border into Arizona, the snow was coming down harder and harder and harder. And going up and down the mountains, going up and down the hills. And I'm within 45 miles. I've driven a full day within 45 miles of Joseph City. There's a Love's truck stop there. The truck starts sputtering and jumping, acting like it's out of fuel. My fuel gauge is telling me that I've got just over a quarter tank of fuel. That's just wonderful. My digital inside the computer system of the truck tells me I've got 40 gallons of diesel left. And it starts chugging and chugging and chugging, and my speed is decreasing, so I move over to the shoulder of the road. Remember, I'm about 45 miles from Joseph City. And as soon as I get over to the shoulder of the road, the engine dies and it's 23 degrees outside, and I'm sitting there, put on my heavy jacket and hope for the best, call it in. They send roadside service, and it takes approximately 4 hours, plus or minus a little bit, for roadside service. It came out from the TA truck stop. I'm not sure where, from either behind me or ahead of me, wherever it came out of. But it took them about 4 hours to get to me. When I stopped on the shoulder of the road, I had approximately 45 minutes. I had about an hour and 20 minutes of drive time left on my clock, along with 2 hours of on-duty time. And of course, all of that was gone by the time he got there. I called my safety manager. I said, what am I supposed to do? He said, just keep driving, and when you stop, just annotate the entry when you go off duty, annotate the entry that you had a breakdown and had to seek safe haven. And so that allows me to drive beyond my expired hours. All right. And so I went ahead, once he got me going and everything, I had to prove to my safety manager that I had not run out of fuel. So all I had to do is take a picture of the dashboard where that digital readout shows me what the truck says, how many gallons I've got. Otherwise, I lose half of my safety bonus for this quarter. And we don't want that. Which is it's not as large as some bonuses I've had in other industries, like in sales, when I was in sales for a couple of years and did very well. That's another story altogether. So he got me fixed up and going. I'm out of hours, and I went on that 45 miles to that Love's truck stop in Joseph City, but it was late. It was after 9 o'clock in the evening. I started early from Van Horn for the express purpose of stopping early. Well, that didn't happen. So I got in there about 9 o'clock. Filled up my fuel. The guy that came out, he brought me 50 extra gallons. Technically, I did not run out of fuel. What happens is when the fuel gets down and you're going up and down the mountains, sometimes that straw that sucks the diesel from at the bottom of the diesel tank is sucking more air than it's sucking diesel. But the truck's in motion and blah, blah, blah. Frankly, that's the second time that's happened to me, and I should have stopped and got fuel at a half a tank. Lesson learned. So I got my fuel at Joseph City. Now the trick was to find a place to park. And as you might imagine, as I drove into the truck stop, trucks stacked everywhere. We're in the middle of a snowstorm. It's getting colder and colder by the minute after dark. And by this time, we're around 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And the way that particular truck stop was set up, when you come off the fuel line, it puts you right on the exit driveway, and you cannot circle back around into the truck parking area without going out on the street, circling around all the way around the building, and come back in the entrance. As soon as I made that right-hand turn out the driveway on the truck exit, the shoulder of the road was wide open, and it was extra wide, and you could tell by how packed the dirt, and it was a hard clay. And I just pulled the truck right over there. But it's a good, 300 to 500 yard walk back into the building, and I wasn't going to shower and shave with the snow coming down and the temperatures falling. So I ended up going over my total 11 and 14 by about 1 hour. Anyway, and now when such an occurrence happens like that, all I have to do is take a 10-hour sleeper berth break, and I get all new hours back for the next day. It's not like I've got to take extra time off because I went over so many hours. No, it don't work like that. So I put myself on sleeper berth at approximately 9:30, which means I was eligible to commence driving the next morning by 7:30. Which that's a little later than I would have preferred, but it was all right. I'd gotten far. I had met, by getting into Joseph City, I had met my second day's goal of where I wanted to be on my route planning, which made the next 2 days easier. The next plan was from there to get, from Joseph City to get to the Love's truck stop at Tehachapi, California, which was approximately 7.5 to 8 hour drive. Well, so Tuesday I gave up 4 to 5 hours of on-clock time, on-duty time, drive time, etc. Now yesterday, Wednesday, I got started at 7:30 like I had planned to do. Left out from Joseph City, headed toward Flagstaff. Now Joseph City is on the east side of Winslow. I just remembered that. Winslow, Arizona. Yeah, I know the song. I think we all do. And I had driven for about an hour yesterday morning, and I'm approximately 30 miles approximately to the I-17 split, I-40 and I-17 split at Flagstaff. I'm on the phone with my buddy. Anyway, let me back up. So I've been driving for about an hour and come up on this, all the traffic was stopped. All the flashes are going off. It had snowed all night. It was like 14 degrees when I got up yesterday morning. And see all that backup says that's an accident. And so I came to a stop and I'm on an incline going up and I'm talking to my buddy on the phone. He says, "Do you see the mountains in front of you?" And I said, "No, I don't. I can't see anything over the crest of this hill that I'm on in front of me. And it's just open field to the right of me." But my GPS was telling me that I was about 30 miles from that I-17 split. Well, did you pass the Indian Casino out there? I don't look for those kinds of landmarks, so I don't know. 6.5 hours I sat there. Me and about 10,000 other trucks. Trucks stacked up as far as the eye could see for 6.5 hours waiting for the lanes to open that we could proceed on. I can tell you that the language on the CB radio was not delicate. Not delicate. Well, just the exact opposite of what had happened on Tuesday, where I had my breakdown at the end of the day after having driven nearly 600 miles or over 600 miles. This happened at the beginning of the day and sat there for 6 hours, 6.5 hours. And so it finally opened up, and snow was falling, but the closer I got to Williams, Arizona, the heavier it got very heavy at Williams, but progressed westward. It finally let up and started getting closer to Kingman, and it had all but gone away. But still, wasted all that time. So now the question, again, the purpose of leaving early is so I can get into the truck stops and find my place to park with a high percentage of finding a place to park, not a low percentage. When I drive into a truck stop, I want to see, at least 50% of the spots open. And that's quite doable if you stop around, or close to it. 3 o'clock, 3:30. And so, but you got to start early. And I don't mind for a few days. I'm not exactly what you'd call a morning person, but I will get up at the alarm and start out because I know what I've got to do for the day. And so, sorry about that. So all along the way, I get to Kingman. Actually, I get to Williams, and then I get to Kingman, then I get to Lake Havasu. Lots of truck stops at all three of those locations, and I keep asking myself, do I want to stop here? Do I want to stop here? And I said, I can't, in good conscience, stop with 3 and 4 hours left on my drive clock. Even though I sat there for 6 hours, I still had 7 hours to drive. Which, from where we got turned loose and able to start driving, again, it was 6.5 hours to Barstow, to the Love's truck stop at Barstow, California. But it was, yes, I got an hour back coming into Pacific time, which helped. Undoubtedly, it helped. I got into the Love's truck stop at approximately 7:30 last night. And I found a spot to park. But it was too late. I didn't want to go shower and shave last night at that late hour, knowing what I had planned for today. So I got in and I just went to bed at Barstow. Had my dinner. All my routines were out of whack. I felt discombobulated. But I knew that going into the California desert, going out from Barstow, going across California 58 through Mojave, and California City and out that way, and headed up here to Lodi. It was a 6.5 hour drive. So I got started this morning at about 7:30 Pacific time, which I calculated would put me in here about 13:30, 1400. And it got me in here at about 13:45 today. But I knew it'd get me in early, and that would give me ample time to get in here and do a shower shave video. And ample time tonight to edit and get it uploaded to YouTube. Hope it does so without another copyright warning, blah, blah, blah. Note to YouTube, I have no control over ambient music at my location. I'm sure there's a way to deal with that. I don't know what it is. If you know what it is, let me know. I would appreciate it. And so I know there's one or two of you out there that have made mention to me that you're interested in doing truck driving and getting your CDL. And just simply said, those kinds of things happen. You just got to deal with it. Doing very nicely. That's going to feel good tonight. So I'm sitting at Lodi, and whatever time it is, it's got to be pushing 4 o'clock, 4:30, I should imagine. And my delivery time in Benicia is 0800 tomorrow morning, and I'm sitting approximately 65 miles or so. And my GPS, and I use a Rand McNally GPS for trucks. It gives me all of the hazmat routing, bridge weights, overpass clearances, so make sure that for the most part that I keep myself out of trouble. And that's what they're for. Most, the maps in Apple iPhones don't give you that information, so if a truck driver follows his iPhone or Android, he's going to be in trouble somewhere along the way. I have no word yet on my backhaul out of San Diego that I've requested, which is going to present a dilemma when I get done delivery. And that is, do I proceed on toward Los Angeles to the truck wash, tank wash? LA Wash Rack is the name of the place. Or do I turn my attention to coming back to Houston? We shall see what happens with that. But, and I told the dispatcher on Sunday when he gave me the load, he told me it was 1,900 miles, no, 500 miles a day, no loading, no unloading. Those are straight driving days. I need 4 days to get there. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, delivery will happen on Friday. And by holding fast to that, and I told the dispatcher, I said, I'm not going to do it unless you agree to that. Okay. I got nobody else right now, so that likes to go long. And the company's good about accommodating us and what we like to do, each driver. And we're about 250 drivers or so, more or less, in Houston now. We got other terminals that have some that add to that number. Ours is the largest terminal. We're the home terminal. But they like to accommodate us because they don't want to lose drivers. And that's the other thing. Drivers will jump and go to another company in a heartbeat if they're not happy, if they think they can get better promises. From another company, and that's all they usually turn out to be, is just promises, never kept, and so they jump and go to the next one. But I won't say too much about that right now, because we're not on to recruiting and hiring, are we? We're talking about the things that happen in the life of a driver on the road, and shaving. And what a shave I'm having. The brushes look fabulous, working magnificently. The soap is doing fantastic, and the razor couldn't be better. Nice indeed. Very good. Here comes the door knocking. I can sense it now. And if you've watched me for very long, you know how much I really don't like that. I love tallow soap. I think I'm almost positive. In fact, I am positive. That's what this is a tallow soap. Yeah, during those 6.5 hours that I was sitting and waiting yesterday for the traffic to clear at the accidents, by the way, I forgot to mention that from where I was at over to Williams, a stretch of about 40 miles, I bet you I saw 20 trucks and vehicles in the ditch, in the median. It's one of the worst scenes I've ever seen. And I've seen plenty of such scenes where there'd be, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 within a 5 or 10 mile stretch. But mostly those occur in the Midwest and not the West, not Arizona. And I understand that Flagstaff gets severe storms. We're at 6,000 feet. I say we, there's Flagstaff vicinity is at about 6,000 feet and is prone to storms in the winter. I don't have very good lighting here, so I got to get real close to the mirror for my sideburns, so stand by. Oh, that feels great. A little bit right there. All right, that's it for the face shave, and that is it for the Facharbeit. I have a couple of razors on standby here in case I need to resort to them. All right, so there's the Facharbeit. Say goodbye. I still have 2 or 3 razors left in my last roll-up that I bring with me that I've got to work through before I get home so I can move on to the next roll-up. And so now we're going to move to the head shave and the Dovo Colonel Conk. I'd like to get some hot water going there, but it doesn't seem to be wanting to cooperate. There we go. Now we got a little hot water. I'm gonna put a little bit more. Get a little bit warm up there. I hope the Dovo does well tonight. If it starts doing well, I'm probably going to put it in regular face shave rotation. I still have to test it on I haven't tested it on a full face shave yet, but it's doing well on the head shaves. But I'll probably do that when I get home so I can get through the razors, the 2 or 3 razors that are left on the roll-up that I want to work through before I get home. And I'm going to find a place to put the Facharbeit in regular rotation. I've run out of space in my roll-ups, and I've got to buy another one. Oh yeah, that feels great. That feels great. Dovo's doing good. Glad to hear it. The next test after I get home, I'll do a face shave, full face shave with this after I get home. And then the next test after that will be oiling it and setting it aside for a few weeks and see if it corrodes. I gave it a good stropping tonight. I gave it about 100, 150 laps. I carry 3 strops with me in the truck, just cause. Genuine Leather, Illinois Strop Company 361, a Latigo strop, and a Buffalo. That one's very smooth, very fast, almost like a cordovan from, I'm not sure the exact name of this company, I think it's out of Albuquerque or Santa Fe, Duke City Razors or Duke City Shaving, something, Duke City something. And my guy that I used to use out of Los Angeles to buy vintage razors from that I have at JR, he's disappeared too. I say disappeared. You know, there's been a lot happening in the last couple of years or so with people dying unexpectedly, and that's a sad thing. Yeah, it's close to even, close enough. Close enough. Okay. Oh, there's a nice hot rag right there. I don't know if you can see that line right there, but I got a good clean line on that. Sharp line, I like that. We'll see how that looks in a couple of days after the hair's grown out a little bit after my haircut earlier. We're nearing the end of the video after I do the back of my neck. If you're watching me on YouTube, I say thank you. Appreciate. I got a couple of new subscribers today. I'm up to about 280. Not yet. I don't like that. I'm very pleased with the way the Dovo's behaving, shaving. So I say thank you if you're watching me on YouTube. Appreciate all of you that subscribe and watch. Hit the like and subscribe button. Drop me a note just to say hi, if nothing else. I'll respond more than likely. Then go on over to the shaving cadre. www.theshadingcadre.com, and place note here. Not yet. Mike, how many times do they have to hear it? All right, that's good enough. Nope, right there. Not good enough. All right, we'll settle for that. All right. So we used the Facharbeit for a face shave. We've used the Dovo Kernel Conch with replacement scales, the guy told me, but they're beautiful scales with the inlay right there. Yeah. The razor doesn't quite go down. It gets in there, but yeah, it's all right. All right. QED Select, Manchurian Silvertip Badger in faux horn. Oh. Island Man soap, just delicious. Wonderful smell. Now, let's do one more thing here. We're almost done. You know, that's interesting. 3 days growth, concave Facharbeit, and very minimal stinging, but I don't mind the stinging. That tells me I did a good job. And there's that. Be careful about handling blades after, after you've touched alum, wash your hands, wipe it off. You don't want those alum stains on the steel. You'll break your heart. I'm telling you, you will break your heart. All right, there's that. And we're done. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate your viewership, and I will see you down the road. Good night.